The first time she locked the door after we finished, I didn't think anything of it. I was lying down, still catching my breath, when she stood up quietly, walked to the door and turned the key pakem. Then she came back like nothing happened. I looked at her. She smiled and pressed her body against mine like she didn't just lock us inside. That was the night I started paying attention. Her name is Adaeze. We've been married for just 2 months, not up to 3 months. I met her through one of those God told me she's the one type introductions. Calm girl, soft voice, no stress. Me, my name is Somto, 35. I run a printing press in town. I don't talk much, and I don't like trouble. That's one of the reasons I married her. She looked like peace. But that night, as I lay there staring at the ceiling, something in me refused to sleep. Why lock the door after? Not before, not when we came in, after, like she was hiding something or expecting something. The second time it happened, I asked her gently, "Do you usually lock the door at night?" She looked at me and said, "Why not? Are you expecting someone?" I laughed. But deep down, I was watching her, and then it became a pattern. We'd make love. She'd get up quietly, lock the door, come back to bed, press her body to mine like everything was normal. But last night, I noticed something. When she locked the door, she didn't just turn the key. She whispered something under her breath, like a prayer, or a warning. And when she came back to bed, she didn't touch me. She just faced the wall and said one thing in a very quiet voice. "You must never open that door when I'm asleep." The room was quiet, too quiet. Adaeze had already turned her back to me. Her breathing was soft, steady, like someone who had set her own and moved on. But me, I couldn't sleep. Her words kept ringing in my head. "You must never open that door when I'm asleep." Why? Why would a woman say that to her own husband? I turned on my side and stared at her back. Normally, I'd wrap my arm around her and pull her close. But that night, something held me back. Not fear exactly, but something close to it. We've only been married 2 months, and in those 2 months, everything has been calm. Too calm. Adaeze is not the loud or dramatic type. She doesn't shout, she doesn't nag, she doesn't complain. She wakes up early, makes breakfast, goes about her day quietly. No wahala. And at first, I liked it. Who wouldn't? After all, peace of mind is better than 6 packs. But now, I'm starting to wonder. She never gets angry. Even when I do things that would annoy any normal woman, she just smiles and says, "It's okay. That's not normal." She barely talks about her family. I've asked a few times, casually, "When will I meet your mum? What about your siblings?" She'd smile and say, "Very soon." 2 months now. Nothing. I've introduced her to my people. My mum likes her. My elder sister Amaka is still observing, but at least she's polite. But Adaeze, no effort. No phone call. No, let me say hi to your mother. Nothing. One day, I even teased her about it. "Adaeze, are you planning to do invisible wife for my family?" She laughed. "It's not like that." "So what's it like?" She looked at me for a moment, then said, "Some things take time. Let's just enjoy this phase first." I left it, but it stayed on my mind. One afternoon, I invited my mom to come spend a weekend with us. I didn't tell Adeyeze in advance because I didn't want her to panic. The moment my mum arrived at the gate and called me to open it, Adeyeze disappeared into the bedroom. I didn't even know she had entered until 10 minutes later. When she finally came out, her face was calm, but her eyes were red, like she had been crying or fighting sleep. My mum didn't notice anything. She was busy inspecting the house, giving small advice here and there. But that night, Adeyeze didn't sleep. She stayed up the whole night, sitting on the floor at the edge of the bed, praying quietly. I heard her murmuring things in Igbo, low and deep, like an old woman. I didn't ask her anything. I just watched. The next day, after my mum left, I tried to hold her. She shifted away gently and said, "Not today." It was the first time she rejected my touch. I didn't argue. Instead, I stood up, went outside, sat on the balcony, and called my sister. "Amaka," I said, "tell me the truth. What do you think about Adeyeze?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "She's too quiet, Somtu. That girl is hiding something. But it's not my place to say. You're the one living with her. That night, I decided to try something. I waited until Adeyeze had fallen asleep. Her back was turned, like always. I tiptoed to the door and slowly reached for the key. My hand was just about to touch it when I heard her voice, cold, clear, awake. "If you turn that key, something will turn in your life." The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She brought me tea in bed, smiled, kissed my forehead, hummed a soft gospel tune as she folded the clothes on the chair, like she didn't threaten me the night before. "If you turn that key, something will turn in your life." But me, I hadn't slept a wink. I just sat there, watching her move around the room like a gentle breeze. And I started wondering, who really is this woman I married? That afternoon, she went to take her bath. I was in the room, scrolling my phone, when I noticed her side of the wardrobe was slightly open. I stood up innocently to close it. That was when I saw it. A small drawer tucked at the bottom. Not the kind you pull out by accident. It was carefully hidden behind a spare wrapper. I bent down and tried to open it. Locked. I touched the handle again, just to be sure. Locked. As I stood up, I heard the bathroom door open. Adeyeze stepped out, towel wrapped around her chest, water dripping down her neck. She paused when she saw me. Her face didn't change, but I knew she saw where my eyes had been. I tried to play it cool. "Your drawer is locked," I said, like it was casual gist. She nodded slowly. "Yes, some things are personal." I didn't say anything. She didn't shout. She didn't accuse me of snooping. She just walked past me, opened her wrapper, and started rubbing cream like nothing happened. But in that moment, something in me shifted. There were too many personal things in this marriage, too many locked things. That evening, I stepped outside with my beer and called Chike, the friend who introduced us. "Guy," I said, "a beg, refresh my memory. That day you told me about Adeyeze, You said she was your cousin's sister or your friend's cousin? TK laughed. Bro, I can't remember exactly. All I know is she was renting from one auntie I know in Enugu. That auntie said she was a quiet, decent girl. That's all. I kept quiet. He asked, Why? Something wrong? No, I lied. Just thinking. But my head was not resting. That night, I decided to confront Adeze gently. We were in bed, and I turned to her. Babe, you know say I love you, right? She smiled. I know, but there's something I don't understand. We're married 2 months now. I've not seen your people. Nobody has called. Nobody has come. How did we even do this wedding, Seth? She was quiet. Then she sighed. A deep one. She sat up and faced me properly. You remember how we did court wedding only? Just you, me, your family, and Pastor Amadi? I nodded. Yes. She looked away. I told you then that my people don't support my choices, that they didn't agree with the marriage. And you said you understood. I paused. Yes. But I thought it was just temporary. I thought after some time things would ease. She shook her head. It's not that simple, Somto. My family, my past. It's not normal. That's why I begged you to let us keep it private. You agreed. Or did you forget? I didn't know what to say. Maybe I did forget. Or maybe I ignored it because of how badly I wanted peace. A soft woman, a quiet home. I stared at her. She stared at the wall. And then she said something that made my chest tight. If they ever find out I'm married, I don't know what they'll do to me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because the room was hot, or because there was noise, but because of what Adeze said earlier. If they ever find out I'm married, I don't know what they'll do to me. Who are they? Why is she acting like she's on the run? I kept turning from side to side. I'd look at her, then look at the ceiling. She was sleeping peacefully. Back turned to me, like always. At some point, I dozed off. Then I woke up around 7 a.m. slightly pressed. My bladder wasn't screaming yet, but I knew if I ignored it, it would wake me harder later. I got out of bed slowly, not to disturb her, and walked to the bathroom. The hallway was dark and silent. Even the small fridge in the parlor had stopped humming. When I came back, something made me pause by the door. Voices. Not two, just one. Adeze's voice. I leaned closer. She was talking in her sleep. Soft, muffled, but steady. I tiptoed in, stood by the edge of the bed, and listened. She was speaking Igbo. I froze. Adeze never speaks Igbo when we're alone. Never. She says she's not fluent, that she understands but struggles to speak. Even when my mum visits, she keeps answering in English. But tonight, in her sleep, the same woman was speaking it clearly, like someone who's been speaking it her whole life. I didn't understand everything, but the tone was enough. She wasn't begging, she was pleading, like someone warning off danger. I took a slow step closer. Then I heard her say something that made the hair on my neck stand. Somto must not open it. He must not open it, or they will find us faster. Open what? The drawer or something else? She turned on the bed, her hand stretched out like she was feeling for something. Then she spoke again. Even though I didn't fully understand the words, I knew what they meant. If he opens it, it won't end well. My legs suddenly felt weak. This was no longer about normal marriage issues. This wasn't mood swing. This wasn't shyness. My wife was carrying something I wasn't part of. And it was starting to show slowly. She mumbled one last thing and went quiet. I waited. No more sound. I backed away from the bed slowly and sat down on the armchair across the room. I didn't even want to lie down beside her again that night. Sleep disappeared completely. I stared at her till morning. But just before the sky began to break, she turned, opened her eyes slowly, and looked straight at me, like she already knew I'd been watching her. She didn't smile. She didn't speak. She just stared. And then she said calmly, like we were talking about the weather, "Did you touch anything while I was asleep?" That was the first thing Daisy said as the sky began to break. No good morning. No, did you sleep well? Just that one question, calm, but sharp, like a knife wrapped in velvet. I swallowed. No. She stared at me for a few seconds longer, then turned her back like it was enough. But it wasn't, because even though I said no, the real answer was yes. I didn't touch anything last night, but I had touched the drawer 2 nights ago. She didn't ask me then, she was asking me now, as if something had changed, as if someone had told her. I went outside that morning with a troubled head, sat by the small plastic table in the compound, drinking Gary and groundnut. I needed to think, process things, breathe. That was when I noticed the woman. She was standing at the gate, not knocking, not speaking, just standing there staring at the house. She wore a faded wrapper tied loosely around her chest, and her head was bare. Her skin was dark, burnt from years under the sun. But it was her eyes that caught me. They weren't just watching. They were searching, like she was trying to see through the wall, into the rooms, into whoever lived here. I stood up slowly. "Good morning, Ma," I called out. No answer. She didn't blink, didn't shift, just kept looking straight at the house. I took a step forward. "Are you looking for someone?" Still nothing. I glanced back at the house. The sitting room curtain moved. I turned and saw Adeyeze peeking through it. Just one eye. The moment she saw the woman, her whole body went stiff. Then, slowly, she dropped the curtain and vanished from view. I went inside. "Adeyeze," I said, entering the parlor. "Do you know that woman outside?" She was standing in the middle of the room, hands shaking, not visibly, but enough for someone watching closely. "Me. Don't talk to her," she said quickly. "Who is she?" Adeyeze didn't answer. She walked to the window again, peeked, then backed away. "If she asks you anything," Adeyeze whispered, "just say you don't know me." "Excuse me?" I blinked. "You dare hear yourself?" She turned to me. "I'm serious, Somto. Whatever happens, just say you don't know me." Then she walked past me and locked the bedroom door behind her. For a moment, I just stood there, stuck between the past 2 months and what I had just heard. I went back outside. The woman was gone. No sound, no trace, not even a footprint. Just the air, thick, like something had passed through And then my phone buzzed. It was a text. Unknown number. She's not who you think she is. And if you love your life, stop asking questions. I stared at the text again. She's not who you think she is. And if you love your life, stop asking questions. No name, no emoji, just a threat dressed as advice. I looked around. Nothing. Nobody. The street was still quiet. Generator hums in the distance. Morning sun trying to find its way. I deleted the message. Not out of fear, but because I didn't know what to do with it. Inside the house, Adeze was acting like nothing happened. She cooked yam and egg sauce, swept the sitting room, even folded my clothes neatly on the bed. But one thing was off, she didn't mention the woman. Not once. She didn't ask if I saw her again. Didn't ask if the woman said anything. Didn't even ask if I was okay. That silence said more than any explanation could. After lunch, I sat down and watched her move around. She wasn't restless, but she wasn't fully at peace either, like someone waiting for a knock they hope won't come. So I decided to test something. Babe, I said gently, my mum has been asking when we'll come to Owerri. I was thinking we could travel this weekend, spend time with her, just 2 days. She froze for 1 second. Just one, but I caught it. Then she turned and smiled. "Oh, that's sweet, but babe, this weekend is too soon." I leaned forward. "Too soon? We've been married 2 months now." "I know," she said, looking down at her hands. "But things are still fresh. Let's settle small first, maybe later." I nodded slowly. "Okay, when?" She opened her mouth, then closed it. Then she smiled again. "I'll know when the time is right." That was the second red flag of the day. I didn't push it. But later that evening, when she was in the kitchen, I picked up her phone from the couch. Just wanted to check something. Not messages, just basic settings. Something had been bothering me. I scrolled to About Phone. That's when I saw it. Device name, Adeze Obinna. Obinna, not my surname. Not any name I've ever heard her mention. I froze. Then I opened her gallery. Most pictures were recent us, the house, her outfits, but I scrolled down. Way down. And that was when I saw it. A picture. Blurry, old, but clear enough. Adeze, standing beside a man. Not me. He looked older, darker, taller. Beard, tribal marks. She was smiling in the photo. The kind of smile she never gives me. Behind them, a signboard. Obinna Daughters Herbal Clinic East, 1986. I stared at the image like it would talk. Then I heard footsteps coming down the corridor. I dropped the phone quickly, sat back, grabbed the remote. Adeze walked in, wiping her hand with a towel. She looked at me, then at her phone, then back at me, and smiled, small but stiff. "You've been busy?" I forced a smile too. "Just flipping channels." She nodded. But in that moment, we both knew what just happened. She knew I saw something. I knew she knew, and she knew I wasn't going to stop digging. Not anymore. That night, we didn't talk much. Adeze sat beside me on the couch, pretending to scroll her phone. I held the remote like I was watching the news. but both of us were just pretending. Silence is a strange thing in marriage. Sometimes it's peace. Other times it's war-wearing perfume. The next morning, Adeze dressed up like she always does. A smart gown, her hair neatly packed, light powder on her face. She kissed my cheek and said, "I'm going to work." I nodded, watched her walk out the door. Then I waited 5 minutes and followed her. I wasn't doing FBI work, Bag. I just wanted to understand who I married. That name I saw on her phone, Obina, and that herbal clinic signboard hadn't left my head since last night. If she could hide that, what else was she hiding? Adeze told me she worked at a small accounting firm at Ikena Street. She always left at 8 a.m., returned by 4:30. I'd never bothered to confirm. I trusted her. Today, I didn't. I followed her cake from a safe distance in my car, watched her turn into Ikena Street and enter a small brown building. From outside, the place looked legit. Maranatha Consults. I waited. 15 minutes later, I entered. The receptionist smiled at me. Younger, chewing gum and scrolling Instagram. "Good morning," I said. "Please, I'm looking for Adeze. She works here." The girl paused, looked at me, then frowned. "Adeze?" "Yes," I replied. She blinked, then turned to another woman seated nearby. "Auntie Tochi, do we have Adeze working here?" The woman shook her head slowly. "No Adaye's here. Are you sure it's this office?" I forced a small laugh. "Yes, maybe I'm mixing it up." I stepped out slowly, heart pounding. If she wasn't working there, then where had she been going for 2 months? I waited in my car, hidden behind a big delivery truck, watching the building. Around 10:43 a.m., Adeze stepped out of the brown gate, but she wasn't alone. She was talking to someone, a woman, older, tall, with a limp. The woman was holding a small calabash in her left hand. Adeze handed her something in a black nylon, whispered something, then looked around quickly like someone watching for danger. I ducked immediately. My hands were shaking. She left the woman, crossed the road, and entered another compound, not the brown office building, a bungalow with green paint and no signboard. So that was it. She'd been lying every day. By 12 p.m., I drove off and went straight to Chike's office. He was surprised to see me. "You just show like ghost," he laughed. "What didn't happen?" I didn't waste time. "Chike," I said quietly, "you sure say you know that Adeze well before you introduced her to me?" He raised his brows. I told you now. I didn't know her deep. I only heard good things about her. From who? One auntie in Enugu that owned the compound she was staying in. Said the girl stayed quiet, neat, always praying. I even heard she used to help some women with midnight matters. You know these spiritual people things. I froze. "What do you mean midnight matters?" He shrugged. "You know those deliverance, fasting, healing, womb-touching things. Small native, small prayer, that type." I felt like vomiting. I stood up and left his office. When I got home that evening, Adeze was already there sitting quietly on the bed, wiping her feet with a white cloth. I entered. Didn't say anything. She didn't look at me either. But just as I was about to leave the room, she said something softly. "You went to my office today." I stopped, turned around. She was still facing her feet, still wiping. Then she added, even softer, "I hope you didn't follow me to the other place." That was what she said. Soft voice, calm tone. But the meaning was heavy. I didn't reply. I just stood there for a few seconds, then left the room. My chest was burning, but I kept quiet. For now, later that evening, she made ogbono soup with pounded yam. I didn't even know when I finished the food. My head was full. My heart was confused. But my stomach, no day hear English. After we ate, she suggested we pray. She sat on the bed and started singing low worship songs. I didn't join. I watched her instead. When she finished, she lay on her side and dozed off like everything was normal, like there was nothing we needed to talk about. Around 2:15 am, I woke up to pee again. This bladder matter was beginning to feel spiritual. As I was walking back to the room, I noticed something strange. There was a light inside, candlelight. I paused at the door. The bedroom bulb was off, but I could see from the crack under the door that something was flickering inside. Orange, unsteady. I turned the handle. Locked. Again, she had locked the door from inside. I knocked softly. "Adese?" No answer. I knocked again. "Adese, are you okay?" Still no reply. Then, slowly, I heard something humming. Soft, deep, like a lullaby from another century. Then a whisper. Not prayer, just whispering, like she was talking to something or someone. After almost 5 minutes, the door clicked open. She was standing there, hair down, eyes dull, skin pale like she hadn't seen light in weeks. But what shocked me wasn't her face. It was the candle behind her. It was tall, black, and burning with a strange blue flame. No air was blowing, but the flame kept dancing wildly like it was reacting to something. I tried to speak, but the words got stuck. She smiled faintly. "Sorry, I didn't know you'd wake up." I nodded slowly. "What's the candle for?" She stepped aside and walked back to the bed, sitting beside the flame like it was her pet. "It's just a personal habit. From childhood. It helps me sleep." "Since when?" I asked. She looked at me, long, tired, like someone who had told too many lies and couldn't keep track anymore. "Since always," she said. "You just never noticed." I glanced at the candle again, then at her. Something was off. That thing wasn't a candle for sleep. I knew it. She knew I knew, but she wouldn't say it, and I was too afraid to force it. We both went to bed after that, but I didn't sleep, not even a blink, because that blue flame refused to die. And by morning, the wax was gone, but the floor where the candle had stood was burnt. A perfect circle, dark, black, and dry on our tiled floor. No wax, no smell, no ash, just a mark. And beneath it, scratched into the tile, like something clawed it from underneath.